Have you ever wondered why at times you try to start your car in the morning and it won't start? You decide to jump it, then drive it, and 3 days later, the same thing happens. The battery keeps dying, but nobody tells you the real reason why. This video covers every cause and every fix. And the most common culprit is something most people never think to check. Before we get into why batteries drain, you need to understand what the battery is actually doing in your car. You may think the battery runs the car. It doesn't. The battery's main job is to start the engine. That one burst of power to crank the starter motor is almost everything the battery does. Once the engine is running, the alternator takes over. The alternator is a generator driven by your engine. It powers all the electrical systems while you drive and recharges the battery at the same time. So a healthy car follows this simple cycle. Battery starts the engine. Alternator runs everything and recharges the battery. Battery waits until the next start. When that cycle breaks down, your battery keeps draining. Now let's go through every reason it breaks down, starting with the most common one. Number 1. Parasitic drain. This is the #1 cause of dead batteries, and most drivers have never heard of it. Parasitic drain means something in your car is pulling power from the battery when the car is off, and it should not be. Your car does have systems that are supposed to stay on when the engine is off. The clock, the alarm, the keyless entry system. These draw a tiny amount of power, and that is normal. But sometimes something that should switch off does not. A trunk light that stays on when the lid is closed. A glove box light burning all night. A faulty relay that never fully opens. An aftermarket accessory wired incorrectly. Even a phone charger left plugged in can slowly pull your battery down overnight. The test for parasitic drain is called a draw test. A mechanic connects a meter between the battery and the car to measure how much current is flowing when everything is turned off. A healthy car should draw no more than about 50 milliamps in sleep mode. Anything above that is a problem. Common causes that technicians find most often include faulty interior lights, aftermarket stereos or alarms, stuck relays, and malfunctioning modules that never enter sleep mode after the car is turned off. If your battery dies overnight but tests fine on a charger, parasitic drain is almost certainly what you're dealing with. Number 2. A weak or dying battery. This one sounds obvious, but most drivers underestimate how quickly a battery can go bad. Car batteries typically last 3 to 5 years. Some last longer in mild climates. Some fail faster in extreme heat or cold. But the important point is this: a battery does not always give you a warning before it fails. One day it works fine. The next morning it is dead. The chemistry inside a lead-acid battery degrades gradually over many years. The battery loses its ability to hold a full charge. It may start your car fine on a warm morning, but fail completely when temperatures drop below freezing. Here is something many drivers do not know. A battery can test as good on a simple voltage test but still be failing. Standard voltage tests only tell you the current charge level. They do not tell you how much charge the battery can actually hold under load. A proper load test, which most auto parts stores perform for free, reveals the true condition. The tester puts a controlled load on the battery and measures how well it holds up. If the voltage drops too far under that load, the battery needs replacing regardless of what a basic voltage test showed. If your battery is over 4 years old and you have had even one unexpected dead battery, have it load tested before the next failure strands you. If this is already making sense and you have dealt with a draining battery before, hit the like button right now. It helps more people find this information before they get stranded. Number 3. A failing alternator. Remember that battery starts the engine? Alternator charges the battery while the engine runs. If the alternator is failing, the battery never gets properly recharged. You drive for 20 minutes, come back out an hour later, and the battery is dead again. You jump it, drive it, same thing happens the next day. Many drivers replace perfectly good batteries over and over without ever realizing the alternator is the real problem. The new battery drains just as fast as the old one because the charging system is broken. Signs that your alternator may be failing include a battery warning light while driving, headlights that seem dimmer than usual, especially at idle, electronics that behave strangely while the engine runs, and a battery that tests fully charged when you get home, but is dead again the next morning. The alternator can be tested at most auto parts stores without removing it from the car. The test measures output voltage while the engine is running. A healthy alternator should produce between 13.5 and 14.7 volts. Below that range means it is not fully charging the battery. Do not replace the battery again until you have tested the alternator. A new battery in a car with a failing alternator will be dead within a week. Number 4. Extreme temperatures. Temperature is one of the most damaging things for a car battery, and most people have no idea how serious the effect is. Cold temperatures slow down the chemical reaction inside the battery that produces electricity. At 0 degrees Fahrenheit, a car battery loses about 35% of its effective power. At negative 20 degrees, that loss climbs to over 60%. So a battery that starts your car fine on a 70-degree day may not have enough power to start it on a very cold morning. Heat causes a different kind of damage. Hot temperatures actually accelerate the chemical breakdown inside the battery. Batteries in hot climates like the southern United States often fail faster than identical batteries used in cooler regions. The heat evaporates the water content in the electrolyte fluid and degrades the internal plates faster. If you live somewhere with very cold winters or very hot summers, be more proactive about battery maintenance. Have it tested at the start of each winter. Parking in a garage during extreme temperatures makes a measurable difference in battery life. Number 5. Short trips that never fully recharge the battery. This is one of the most overlooked causes of battery problems, and it is especially common for older drivers who use their car mainly for local errands. Here is what happens. Every time you start your car, the battery uses a significant burst of power to crank the engine. The alternator is supposed to replenish that power during your drive. But replenishing a battery fully takes time. Short trips, those 5 to 10-minute drives to the grocery store or pharmacy, do not give the alternator enough time to return the battery to full charge. So every short trip leaves the battery slightly more depleted. Over days and weeks of only short trips, the battery slowly falls below the point where it can reliably start the engine. The fix is simple. Once or twice a week, take your car on a longer drive of at least 20 to 30 minutes at highway speeds if possible. This gives the alternator the sustained runtime it needs to fully recharge the battery. If longer drives are not practical for you, a home battery trickle charger, which costs around $20 to $30, can be connected overnight to keep the battery topped up without any effort on your part. Number 6. Old or corroded battery terminals. This one is simple, cheap to fix, and causes more dead batteries than most people realize. Your battery has 2 terminals, the positive and the negative. Cables connect those terminals to the rest of the car's electrical system. If those connections are corroded, loose, or dirty, electrical resistance builds up in the connection. Power cannot flow properly between the battery and the rest of the car. You might see a white or blue-green powdery buildup around the terminals. That is corrosion, and it acts like a partial insulator. The battery may be fully charged, but if the terminal connection is poor, the car may still not start or may have strange electrical problems. The fix is inexpensive and something many people can do themselves. Mix a tablespoon of baking soda into a cup of water. Disconnect the cables, negative first. Apply the mixture to the terminals with an old toothbrush. The corrosion will bubble and dissolve. Rinse with water and dry completely. Reconnect the cables, positive first. After cleaning, coat the terminals lightly with petroleum jelly or a spray terminal protector to slow future corrosion. Check your terminals every few months as part of regular maintenance. Keeping them clean is one of the simplest ways to extend battery life and avoid unexpected failures. Number 7. Leaving electronics on with the engine off. This catches more drivers than you might expect, and it is especially common with newer cars loaded with electrical features. Sitting in a parking lot with the radio on, using phone charging ports with the engine off, leaving the key in the accessory position while waiting for someone. All of these drain the battery because the alternator is not running to replace what is being used. Modern cars have more electrical loads than ever. Heated seats, heated mirrors, multiple USB charging ports, infotainment systems that draw significant power. Using these features for even 15 to 20 minutes with the engine off can pull enough from the battery to affect starting, especially if the battery is already aging. The rule is simple. If the engine is not running, be mindful of what is drawing power. Limit the use of accessories when the engine is off to short periods only. This matters most in cold weather when the battery already has reduced capacity. If you have been through this battery nightmare before, drop a comment below telling us how many batteries you replaced before you found the real problem. Number 8. A bad cell inside the battery. A car battery is made up of 6 cells connected together. Each cell produces about 2.1 volts. Adding up to 12.6 volts for a fully charged battery should show. When one of those cells fails internally, the entire battery is compromised. It might show 10 or 11 volts instead of 12.6. It will not hold a charge properly and will not reliably start the engine. The tricky part is that a bad cell is not always obvious from the outside. The battery looks fine, the terminals look clean. But internally, one section has stopped working properly. A proper load test or conductance test at a parts store will usually identify a bad cell. Once a cell has failed, the battery cannot be repaired. It needs to be replaced. Number 9. A faulty starter or other electrical component. Sometimes what looks like a battery drain is actually another component working too hard. A starter that is beginning to fail draws significantly more current than normal when you crank the engine. This extra load can stress the battery to the point where the battery seems like the problem when the starter is actually the cause. Similarly, a faulty power window motor straining against a stuck mechanism or any other actuator drawing more current than it should can contribute to battery depletion over time. If you have tested the battery and alternator and both check out, but the battery keeps going flat, have a technician check the current draw of major electrical components. A starter that draws too much current usually makes a grinding or sluggish sound when you turn the key. And that is the warning you should not ignore. How to properly fix a draining battery. Now that you know why it keeps happening, here is the order of steps to actually solve it. Step 1 is to test the battery properly. Not just with a voltage meter, but with a full load test. If the battery fails, replace it. If it passes, move on. Step 2 is to test the alternator with the engine running. A reading below 13.5 volts means the alternator is not charging properly and needs attention. Step 3 is to perform a parasitic draw test with the car fully off. Anything above 50 milliamps needs to be found and fixed. Step 4 is to inspect and clean the battery terminals. Even if they look mostly clean, a proper cleaning and recoating can make a real difference. Step 5 is to evaluate your driving habits. If you only take short trips, add a longer drive weekly or invest in a trickle charger for home use. Step 6 is to consider the age of your battery. If it is over 4 years old, replacement is usually the most reliable long-term solution, even if it still tests adequately. Prevention is always cheaper than getting stranded. Solving a draining battery is almost always one of these issues or a combination of two. Work through the steps in order, and you will find the answer every time. A dead battery is one of the most frustrating things that can happen to a driver, especially when it keeps coming back. Now you know exactly why it happens and exactly what to do. If you know someone dealing with this problem right now, share this video with them.